the day. So we will go ahead with the according to the program schedule. I believe everyone would have received the program schedule for your email address. So the first presenter for the day here is Ashray Modi. Do we have Ashray Modi, Economic and Impact of COVID-19 Outbreak in India? Okay. I'll call upon the next presenter then, Shivani Meena, Geographical Analysis of Regional Disparities in Level of Women Education, a case study of Hadotini region, Rajasthan. Do we have her over here? Shivani?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. So I will give you the option to share the screen. Yeah. Please share the screen and request everyone to mute yourself when the presenter is presenting, so that let there be any no disturbances when the presenter is presenting, right? So with this, now let us begin with the first presentation of the day. So Shivani, please share your screen and then we'll go ahead and request you to restrict maximum of your presentation to 8 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone present here, respected sir and madam, and the fellow research member. Myself, Shivani Meena, a research scholar from Government Arts College, Kota. So today I will be presenting my research work in front of you, and the title of my paper is Geographical Analysis of Regional Disparities in the Level of Women Education, a case study of Hadoti region, Rajasthan. So this is the content. This is how I will be proceeding in the presentation.
Then I guess you are on mute. We are not able to hear you.
Okay. Sorry. Sir, actually, there is so much of technical glitch. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Okay.
So now coming towards the abstract of this paper. So basically what I did is I calculated a composite quotient index at Tehsil level in Hadoti region to show the regional disparities in the level of women education development in the region. So now coming towards the introduction. As we know that education is a tool which can change women's position in the society, but still larger section of women are deprived of education. Looking India on a larger scale, we can find very dispersed pattern of women education throughout. For example, Kerala has highest level of women literacy, whereas UP, Bihar are very poorly performing states in case of the literacy rate. So basically, studying regional dimension is very important for at least two major regions. Firstly, regional study will help to identify which region is needed to be taken on the priority basis for the development. And secondly, it will help in providing equal opportunities and facility irrespective of physical and cultural constraint. So organizing educational facilities will be in such a manner that everyone can be benefited out of it under the same conditions. So now I will be briefing you about the study area which I had taken, that is Hadoti region. So this region geographically falls on the southeastern part of Rajasthan, which is bordered by Malwa Plateau on the east and Aravalli ranges on the west and Marwa region on the southwest. The region is being drained by Chambal River and its tributaries. The region constitutes 4 districts, that is Kota, Bundi, Jhalawad and Bara. This region lies within the Hindi-speaking belt, but Rajasthani language with Hadoti dialect is spoken commonly here. The economy of the region is mainly derived out of agriculture, chemical fertilizers, etc. In the recent time, Kota has emerged as a big educational hub, which is being contributing in region's economy on a very large scale. The objective of my research paper is to study the level of women educational development in Hadoti region through temporal and spatial analysis. The methodology which I had selected for the representation of the data is for the temporal data. I will be analyzing the data which has been collected from the Economic and Statistic Department of Rajasthan. For representation of temporal data, bar diagrams has been used, and for spatial data representation, GIS software is being used to produce Tehsil level map of Hadoti region. And for showing the spatial disparities in women education, a composite and quotient index has been calculated. The method of calculation is so. Different attributes are taken, like number of women enrolled in educational institutes like school, university, and colleges, and the literacy rate has also been included in it. With the help of this method, individual value of various indicators with different unit of measurement are converted into unitless values. And the formula is given here, where individual quotient value is being calculated by taking individual attribute value, which is being divided by mean attribute value. And finally, a composite quotient index is being calculated, which is a summation of all the individual quotient value. That higher the score of composite quotient, higher the level of women education development. Lower the score, lower the development level. Now I will be briefing you about the temporal data analysis. The figure 1, figure 2, 3, and 4 are the four districts, that is Kota, Bundi, Bara, and Jhalawad. In this, I had taken the female enrollment in educational institute from 1995 till 2019. In this, I will be showing the primary enrollment in primary school, senior secondary and secondary school, and colleges and university. As you can see, with the help of these figures, in 2000, after 1995 and 2005, there was tremendous increase in primary education enrollment of females. That was due to government policies, in which government had provided the monetary support to the parents, uh, of the female, due to which they were the incentives were given, and they got enrolled their females in the educational department, in the primary education basically. And in case of upper primary education, we can see in 2019, there is from 1995 till 2019, there is a gradual increase in the enrollment rate. Whereas in the case of higher education, there are very marginal females are enrolled in university and colleges. So this shows that higher education is very poorly performing in the region. The figure 5 is showing women's age of marriage in the Hadoti region and its correlation with their dropout rate. The figure 5 is showing that majority of female got married before the age of 19, which shows a very positive correlation between education and age of marriage, which means that marriages after age of 20 will result in more females in higher education. In context of a spatial data analysis of women education level, I had calculated tehsil wise composite quotient index, and the scores has been assigned in the table, as you can see very clearly. To have better understanding, what I have did is I had classified the data into 3 categories: low, medium, and high. This is the map which has been prepared by me. So this is the map which has been prepared by me. On the eastern side of the region, you can see the low, poorly performing tehsils are being placed. And these tehsils are those tehsils which are mostly inhabited by the tribal communities. There is an exception of Shahabad Tehsil, which is being inhabited by Saharia community, and the government efforts has tremendously improved that level of women education here. So that's why it is falling in the medium category. The light blue color, the medium category blue color is being depicting the medium level of women education. These are the tehsils which are in very close proximity to the focal city, that is Kota, which falls in the Ladpura tehsils. So the accessibility and the facility of education are very high in these regions. That's why they are performing medium fairly in a decent manner. Whereas the highest performing tehsils are the district headquarters, that is Bundi, Ladpura, Bara, Jhalawar, and Kisharai Patan. So these are the region where majority of the urban population of the Hadoti region falls in. So for improving this disbalanced regional growth, the following recommendations can be taken in mind while formulating the policies which are concerned with female education. Firstly, There is need to arrange the spatial data in a manner through which poorly performing areas in women education can be highlighted. Secondly, identifying the existing available infrastructural facilities. Thirdly, a regional plan for increasing women education levels should be prepared with par with nation. We should include all the stakeholders while formulating such plans. Cultural practices and local people sentiment should always be kept in mind. Lastly, to solve the problem of inaccessibility of education for women can be solved with the help of greater like with modern technologies like availability of internet in remote tribal areas. And apart from it, regional awareness program can be run by government with the help of NGOs, which will help in eliminating gender-based discrimination. And mass sensitization of people can be achieved with the help of this. So now I will be going to conclude. So my concluding remarks are that role of women in education is very important to have holistic development of the region at a country level. So there is need that women should be empowered. Especially with Hadoti region, cultural and social practices are very much similar throughout the region, but still the differences in the level of development can be seen, due to which region has developed a very well assured system of reciprocity and mutuality of obligation. So it is very important for the policymaker to consider local population while formulating people specific education policy through which a balanced level of women education can take place throughout the region. These are the references which I had referred. Thank you so much for listening me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shivani. Good work. How much was the sample size?
Sir, this data has been taken from the secondary source, the government source, that is the Economic and Statistic Department. So
Okay.
basically, they had taken the data from throughout the region.
Okay. So numbers of secondary data which you have received.
Sir,
No,
uh,
not.
no, sir. It is as per the Census of India. 2011, the number of households which are being present in the region, all are taken in the sample size. So it is in a universal size. It is the whole population which has been included in the data.
Okay. Okay. So in the recommendations, can you go to previous slide once again?
Hmm.
Previous slide. Recommendations.
Hmm.
Yeah, like so what study have you conducted in this village? Have you been there physically and then conducted the study, or like how did you analyze this problem basically to come to these conclusions?
Okay, sir. Sir, basically, I had personally visited this region also, and apart from it, I had taken the secondary data through which I had analyzed various things like how many females are being enrolled in different institutions, and apart from it, what is the age of marriage, and when they are taking their dropout, and all these data. After looking all these things, like my personal survey and the secondary data, I reached to these conclusion and the recommendations which I mentioned to you.
Okay, okay. Good work. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon, all of you. My name is Ashok Singh. I am pursuing MA from Dr. Ramnath Abad University, Faizabad, and currently I'm working as lecturer in electronics and technical department UP. I am going to present my technical paper, review paper on voltage compensator using technology. And oscillator this is a continuous working without basically oscillators convert unidirectional current flow from which is of the desired frequency desired by the component. Oscillators are profoundly complicated dynamics involve oscillator elements calculation. Actually, in this paper, we give an overview about the oscillator types and the frequency.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please
Hello.
continue. Anything is there You can, anyone have anything, you can message in the chat box or DM me. Not interrupt during the presenter is presenting. Shashwat, please continue. Shashwat, are you there? Shashwat Singh?
Hello.
Yeah, please continue your presentation. Please continue your presentation. Rohit, if anything is there, kindly message in chat box. Okay, I will reply. Don't. I request others also not to interrupt when the presenter is presenting anything. Okay. Kindly don't interrupt anyone when the presenter is presenting. He was not audible. No, I was listening. It was fine, Rohit, to me. Yeah, thank you. Rohit had some technical glitches, maybe Shashwat, from your side, he was not able to listen, it seems. Yeah, I was able to listen you, not an issue. Please go ahead.
Okay. In this paper, our main emphasis will be on physical sets of the designing of the oscillator using metal oxide semiconductor and other materials used for the designing, basically the oxide designing. Their qualities which can vary the frequency of the oscillator on nanoscale and etc. What's an oscillator? Basically, an oscillator is a circuit that generates a revolving waveform that is completely and has almost no information. Oscillator basically turns a unidirectional current stream into DC, from a DC source into a sinusoidal waveform as determined by the circuit elements. Through that, depending on the circuit element, the frequency can be varied. Actually, oscillators arise in an assortment of plants, each having its own working rule, recurrence time, and commutation execution. Actually, different applications also require different set of oscillators because the frequency of different application can vary the oscillator required by them. Oscillator are basically of two types. The one, first one is where the output frequency is controlled by some means like voltage, and second one is where the frequency of the oscillator cannot be controlled. Basically, in such type of oscillator, the frequency in the output is generally because of the noise in the elements present in the circuit. In my paper, we actually determine about the voltage controlled oscillator and the materials used in voltage controlled oscillator. So, what are a voltage controlled oscillator? A voltage controlled oscillator is a sort of oscillator whose output frequency changed by the changing the input voltage. Okay, essential structure what is simple advanced circuit. Actually, voltage control oscillators are fundamental to all the synchronous systems because they provide a reference signal, and after for the decoding and some other control like in microprocessor clock, we use voltage control oscillator. This block diagram of voltage control oscillator, and this is the expression for the output. Actually, the output frequency directly upon input signal, input voltage. So it's a voltage control oscillator. What's a ring oscillator? Actually, the most common type of CMOS oscillator are ring oscillator and LC oscillator. But LC oscillators are bulky and having the larger phase noise. So we use mostly the ring oscillator. In ring oscillator, we have some delay elements, number of delay elements, and the output of the last stage feedback to the input of the first stage, like the feedback. And to achieve oscillation, the ring must provide a phase shift of 2 pi and have a voltage gain at the oscillation frequency. This is the transfer function of a ring oscillator where the frequency of the output directly depends on the input. So, depending on the charging time, discharging time of the output capacitance of a MOS device, the output frequency of an oscillator can be varied because the frequency of an oscillator indirectly depends on the inverse of the capacitance. So, the output capacitance is very important for any of the MOS devices. So in this article, I briefly reviewed about the MOS capacitance units oscillators. Side semiconductor capacitor-driven silicon motors have demonstrated exceeding driving range, energy efficiency, and bandwidth through heterogeneous integration with other materials, including third and fifth compound semiconductor and PCOs, that is transparent conductive oxides. However, a proper quantitative comparison is lacking among various device structures due to difference in the material properties and device designs. Okay. Now, what I have done a review about some papers, and after the reviewing, we conclude these statements like we actually reviewed most capacitors using silicon materials with different gate materials, including polysilicon, radioactive compound semiconductors, and TCOs. In general, there are two types of device structures has been used in the most devices depending upon the deposition method of the material. So process sectional symmetric of the two configurations. First one is the design configuration. Basically forms on the top of the silicon waveguide, and it is suitable for the gate materials that are crystalline with higher electron mobility adsorption. The second one is a conformally deposited gate material that covers the top of the side wall of the waveguide. This is shown as in configuration 2. Basically, it enhances the overlapping factor between the optical mode and accumulate carriers, which can improve the modulation efficiency of the MOS devices. Actually, we summarize the existing reports of MOS capacitor-driven silicon modulators, as shown in figure 4. This is the figure where we have summarized the existing reports on MOS capacitors. Typically, 3 and 4 compound semiconductors is a top bounded the silicon waveguide, while TCOs are usually indicated by conformal deposition, such as RF string deposition. Has the proposed hybrid with 3 and 5 group semiconductors and TCOs are designed with configuration 1, configuration 2 respectively. Both the polysilicon and graphene are grown by that is chemical vapor, and they can be formed as either configuration 1 or configuration 2, depending upon our requirement. So here is review of device performance. In this section, we review the hybrid silicon modulators, which were demonstrated through experiments and the device performance with different gate materials. Basically, these MOS-driven silicon modulators operate in the accumulation mode through negative gate voltage, moderate the reflective indices of both the silicon waveguide and gate material through the plasma dispersion effect. There are basically two fundamental type of MOS capacitors-driven silicon modulators. With the figure 5, they both the types is shown. Yes. And the first one is which relies on phase modulation induced by accumulated carriers in one of the two of its arm by applied gate voltage. The phase difference from the two arms is translated into the amplitude modulation. The light obtained by interference with the two arms are combined into a single channel. Okay. This is my conclusion. Reviewing of the paper, the state of what MOS capacitor do silicon modulators, we drive the two most representative waveguide configurations earlier, representing high mobility line materials, bounded design, and low mobility polycrystalline conformal deposition design. Actually, after reading so much of papers regarding the capacitance or MOS capacitance with silicon modulators, a few contextual analysis shows the utility of guarantee of VCO for specific sort of VCO. VCO is basically a vital structure block in present correspondence framework. Followed the research. Thank you.
Good presentation, Mr. Shashwat. So it is just a review you have done. Are you planning for the implementation also of this project?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it your research project or something?
Sorry, sir?
Is this your PhD or research project?
Actually, sir, I am pursuing MTech from
MTech,
university.
okay.
Basically, it's a part-time MTech. I am actually a government employee.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I'm part-time into one of the meetings.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. Good research review you have done, a literature review you have done. We appreciate it. The implementation, we are hoping to see it at the earliest. Congratulations and all the best.
Sure, sir, sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I would like to call upon Maitri V, supervision guidance for visually impaired using machine learning and OpenCV techniques. Maitri, are you there? Maitri Raghavendra Hanuma Krishna. Okay. Next, I would like to call upon Mohammad Kamran Siddiqui. Do you have Mohammad Kamran?
Yes. Hi. Good
Yeah,
afternoon,
hello.
everyone.
So please share your presentation, sir.
Sure. Just a minute. Give me a minute.
Yep. We are waiting. You're on mute, Mohammed.
Yes. Yes.
We can able to see the screen. Request you to start the presentation by making it a full screen.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes. Please start the presentation.
Student, PhD scholar for University Ajmer, Rajasthan. And today I'm going to discuss regarding the study, the review of risk management in electronic payment system. So these days we have many risks in electronic payment systems, and a lot of fraud is going to happen during the COVID era as well. So that I'm going to discuss in this paper. An overview of the risk for electronic payment systems, including the fraud, since it's the most dangerous to e-payment and inflicting enormous losses in providing the article. In today's corporate environment, as e-commerce expands and e-payments are becoming an increasingly important friction, many customers were able to save money at the time thanks to electronic payments. Likelihood of the partial payments, the term payment risk is used payment system damage the value of the trustworthiness, can be used as a yardstick to gauge the extent of the effect. A variety of automated checks are used by wordplay to verify the credit card and debit card payments. Basically here in the introduction, I can see that the e-commerce is becoming a major force in the modern economy thanks to large part of Magneto and the world-class platform. The internet business owner cannot escape the hazard of the transaction because it's a new trend, and organization long-term viability hinges on the ability to effectively manage the risk in online transactions. Internet fraud, information security, payment methods, or even e-commerce legislation may pose a threat to your business. If a company were to fall a victim to one of the dangerous, it would be extremely difficult. It's impossible to come out of it. E-commerce and direct marketing organizations lose billions of dollars each year due to the risk connected with the conducting business online. Businesses should therefore create an internal policy to manage the potential risk and educate their employees how to put it into practice. Basically, in the next slide, I'm going to show how the online payment system works. Normally, what we do is we purchase something from online, we enter the credit card number, and we just go and purchase something. Sometimes the amount get deducted and the merchant doesn't receive the amount. So where then the frauds happen. And I can show you in the next slide that how normal cash flow or a check like a credit card and offline payments and electronic direct debit works. So basically, this is the clearing process, acquiring and issuers, and then withdraw and pay and pay. So these are the four main parts in the cycle of this e-payment systems. So basically, these are the flows and fundamental information on generic payment system, which is there. And this is where the issuer, acquire, and hacker and the spy out pin. For example, now we are initiating the payment online, and some of the hackers or spiers are keep on putting the codes and try to fetch our passwords and pin codes where we save the information on the browsers or something. So they physically break the smart card, break through crypto, technical defects of vulnerabilities and Trojan horses. So between the payer and the payee, this is the this is the place where they spy out all the information of a credit card or any other payment system what we are using it. So this is where the information is being leaked, and we do see sometimes the outside people are using our cards for minimum amount, and then we log a complaint to the credit card holders, and they do reverse back. So basically, how do we avoid these kind of things? Is like the company should be starting using the techniques to detecting a fraud, what is happening. There are some models which can be used here, which is a novel idea for a credit card using the fraud detection using a decision tree. Basically, the decision tree, what does is it checks the clause and algorithms and check the information of the card which is being provided by the bank, and then they do it. So basically, there are some of the techniques which have been portrayed here. So I can discuss one technique only because we have a very less time. So I will be discussing only here detection tree for using a decision tree. Here is the one which is the diagram. We say the user login and validate the credit card or the card, and then it goes to the database, and can use the decision tree is also called Lewis algorithm, and outlier direct detection, then pattern matching, then Bayes theorem, and then fraud detection. So basically, this is the flow. What it happens is how this decision tree or the Lewis algorithm works is the card number validation through Lewis algorithm is used to validate the card numbers, that distinguishing valid numbers from the mistype or otherwise the incorrect card numbers. Following the standard algorithm is used to validate the credit card numbers, which is 14 digit the card numbers what we get it. Normally, it reverses the order of the digits in numbers, takes the first, third, and every other odd digit in the reverse digit, and the sum them up to the form the partial sum S1. Taking the second, fourth, and every fourth even digit is reverse digits, multiply each digit by 2 and some digits in greater than 9 in partial sum of the some even digits. Sum the partial of the even digits from S2 if S1 plus S2 ends in 0. Then the original number in the form of the valid credit card and verified by the decision tree. So this is how we can avoid the frauds which are happening currently in the market through some of the decision tree rules, algorithm, and so now conclusion is major concern to the e-payment is the fraud. We introduce a variety of research articles that incorporated various tactics for detecting combating fraud in various forms of e-payments. We have sought to demonstrate the novel fraud detection and preventing models in methodology, since we believe that the most significant risk is the e-payment phase. To summarize the fraud detection techniques, such as increasing the level of security in the electronic payment environment, decreasing the fraud attempts, but also there are disadvantages such as complexity of some models, their inaccuracy, and time it takes to complete the e-payment system. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Mohammed, for your wonderful presentation. It was nice. Again, it's a kind of review project. Implementation is what we would also look after.
Yes, as I am doing a research work, so I am using a pedestrian view technology. I'm trying to build a new payment system where the merchant and the client interacts both each and have instant settlement happens in between the bank and the payer. So this is what I'm trying.
That's really nice. Hope to see the implementation of the software at earliest, and all the best for it. And you can also make it as a startup kind of it and get some grant, apply it if as you're developing this project, you can make it as a product indeed.
Yes, in future I am planning to do the same thing and register as a patent also, then and get it as a product. Hopefully.
Yes, wonderful. That's great. Good presentation, Siddiqui. Thank you. So I would like to next call upon Ravint Kaur.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Ravint Kaur.
Sorry, please share your presentation.
Sure, sir. Is the screen visible, sir? So is the screen visible? Should I continue with the presentation?
Please share the presentation. It was visible. I request you to share the presentation.
So is the screen visible? Should I continue?
Yes, it is visible. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am Ravineet Kaur. I am pursuing my PhD from Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology. My area of research is product placement. I, along with my co-authors, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Sharma and Dr. Apoor Bakshi, have written a paper entitled Students' Behavioral Response to Product Placements in Movies. This will be the presentation flow. I'll give a brief introduction about product placement and the marketing strategies. Then I'll discuss the statement of problem, the objective of the study. I'll briefly mention some papers that I've used for this research paper. Then I'll show the research model, the methodology that I've followed, the results that I've obtained, conclusion and implications, and in the last, I'll give a list of references. So before I talk about product placement, I would like to give a quick overview of marketing strategies. So marketing strategies basically help to fuel a business. Marketing strategies basically revolve around 4 P's, that is product, place, price, and promotion. Promotions include all the communications regarding the product or brand that are targeted towards the consumers. This can be done through advertising, public relations, loyalty programs, event sponsorships, internet marketing, etc. So advertising is one of the most important aspects of promotions. Brands strive to increase their sales by using advertising. So due to cutthroat competition in almost every industry, the marketers are compelled to find innovative ways of advertising their products and services. Product placement is basically a covert advertising technique. That means a hidden advertising technique that is gaining popularity in different parts of the world. So product placement is basically an advertising technique in which the branded products are placed in media content. And the focus is on the brand or product name or logo. This is mostly done in television shows, movies, music videos, and video games. These are all examples of visual placement. The product placement can also be done through audio means, wherein the branded product or the brand name is used in a dialogue or in the lyrics of a song. So if we look at the first image, this is a still from the movie Twilight. Here the actor can be seen using an Apple product. So this is an Apple product placement. The second image is a still from the television show American Idol, where Coca-Cola tumblers are placed in front of the judges. So this is a product placement of Coca-Cola. The third image is a still from a video game called Mario Kart, where the character can be seen driving a Mercedes car. So the Mercedes logo is clearly visible, which is a product placement for the company. The practice of placing branded products in media content started in 1950s, and the basic intent for doing this was to increase the realism of the content, to make it more realistic. But today it has become a multi-billion-dollar business. It is used in movies and it has a huge potential to exploit global reach. For instance, if we look at the Hollywood movies, we have a huge viewership for those movies in India. Likewise, Indian movies also enjoy a huge overseas. Yes, ma'am.
051150. DGH.
So should I continue with the presentation? So I was talking about how product placement has a global reach, where it is placed in movies which enjoy overseas audience. Brands like Apple, Ray-Ban, Mercedes, BMW, they are placed in international content. And product placement is generally a paid practice where the brands pay a certain amount of money to the content producers for getting their products positioned in the media content. So this helps the brands to gain a huge exposure, and side by side it helps the producers to decrease the overall production cost because they get money from the brands. So prominence is a very important execution factor that is being considered by the marketers. The prominence of a placement depends on its frequency, duration, importance, size, and position. Based on the prominence, a product placement can be prominent or subtle. So this image shows the dimensions of prominence. The first dimension is duration, the period of time for which the product or brand is visible on screen. If the product or the brand is visible for a longer duration, the placement is said to be prominent. Otherwise, it is said to be subtle in nature. The second dimension is the importance, the role of product or brand in the plot or script. If the product has a central role in the content, then it is said to be prominent, otherwise it is subtle in nature. The third dimension is frequency, number of times the product or brand appears in the content. If a product or a brand is repeatedly shown in the media content, it is said to be prominent, otherwise it is said to be subtle. The second execution factor is the CPI. CPI is the physical interaction between the character and the product. So based on CPI, if we look at the first image, this is a still from a movie called Home Alone. In this, the character is seen holding a Coca-Cola can and drinking from it. Since the character is holding it and consuming the product, we'll say that CPI is present because there is a physical interaction between the product and the character. The second image is a still from a television show named Friends. Here we can see that the Coca-Cola can is just placed on the table and the character is not holding it or drinking from it. Hence, we say that CPI is absent in that case. So coming to the statement of problem, though product placement is not a new advertising technique, marketers do not have adequate knowledge about consumers' behavioral response to product placements. Very few studies have examined the impact of execution factors on purchase intentions. And most of the studies that have been conducted have taken the respondents from developed markets, say the United States and Europe. Coming to the objectives of the study, to address the gaps that I've discussed, the present study focused on purchase intentions towards the products placed in movies. The study examines the impact of execution factors, which I've discussed, that is prominence and CPI, on students' purchase intention. As very few studies have been conducted in the emerging markets, so this study focuses on Indian students. So these are the few papers that I've used, and the findings have been very important for writing this paper. The study was conducted by Rajmasdal in 2010, and the authors found that prominence negatively impacts the behavioral reactions. That means the prominent placements are not taken favorably by the consumers. A study was conducted by Chen et al. In 2016, where they also found that prominently placed products led to lower purchase intentions than subtly placed products. Then there was a study conducted in 2013 by Kamletner and Joyt. They found that brand placements with CPI lead to higher purchase intentions than brand placements without CPI. In 2018, Nadera et al. Conducted a study where they had children as respondents, and they found that brand placements with CPI led to more favorable behavioral reactions in comparison to brand placements without CPI. So this is the research model. Prominence and CPI are the two execution factors. We are trying to analyze the impact of prominence, CPI, and their interaction on purchase intentions. Purchase intention has been used as the key dependent variable because it is considered the best predictor of consumer behavior, and it is believed that purchase intentions can translate into actual purchases. So the methodology that we followed, we have conducted a 2x2 study where prominence had two levels, prominent and subtle, and CPI also had two levels, CPI absent and CPI present. So we watched a number of Bollywood songs, and 4 Bollywood songs were selected for the study. The Bollywood songs were selected in such a way that we have one product placement for every category. As we can see in this figure, that Apple was a placement that was prominent and CPI was present for that. Ray-Ban was a subtle placement, but CPI was present for it. Sunsilk was a prominent placement, but CPI was absent. And Tag Heuer was a placement that was subtle and CPI was absent. Coming to our sample size, college students spend a lot of time watching movies, and marketers try to target college-going students as they are brand conscious. Thus, the present study used students as respondents. So a total of 220 students from Thapar Institute participated in the study. They were shown these music videos where product placement was there. And after watching those music videos, they were asked to fill out a questionnaire. And the questionnaire was designed in English. Coming to the results that we've obtained, we used repeated measures analysis of covariance, ANCOVA, for the study. Gender was used as a covariate, and prior to analysis, data was checked for the normality. If we look at this figure, we can see that the purchase intention was higher for prominently placed brands than for subtly placed brands in both the CPI condition and the without CPI condition. We can also see that PI, that is purchase intention, was higher for CPI placements than for placements without CPI in both the prominent and subtle conditions. So if we look at this figure and the table, we can see that purchase intention mean score is highest, that is 3.60 for product placement, which was prominently placed with CPI. We can also see that the purchase intention mean score is lowest, that is 2.66 for product placement, which was subtly placed without CPI. In this model, we can see that F values are significant at 1% level because the P value is less than 0.01. Partial eta square here indicates the effect sizes. It represents the change in the dependent variable due to the independent variable. So this analysis shows that prominence and CPI have a significant impact on purchase intention. Also, the interaction between placement prominence and CPI has a positive and a significant impact on purchase intention. Through this analysis, we found out that gender did not have a significant impact on purchase intention. Coming to the conclusions and implication, marketers can influence viewers' purchase decisions by using product placements. Execution factors should be kept in mind while placing products in media content, especially when it comes to movies. If the main purpose of inserting products in movies is to influence purchase behavior of the consumers, then marketers should go for prominent placements with CPI. This will lead to the best possible results for the brand. So these are the references that I've used, and thank you for listening. Any questions?
Wonderful presentation. It was, and a good topic and a unique topic, which is usually out of the box we see, like with respect to placements of the products in movies and all. A good thinking about the topic, a unique topic which I have never seen. Right, a good
Thank you,
work with your effort. Thank you for your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
We used to know, like, participants who have any questions to ask can, use the chat box for the same, so that they can interact with any questions they want here. You can also share your email address out there. Thanks a
Sure,
lot,
sir.
Navneet, for your great work in a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'll share my email ID in the chat box.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Now, next, ma'am, next I would like to call upon the presenter, Hakmeet Barhim Abed.
Yes, Doctor, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, please share your presentation, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we are able to see it. Yeah, I think you can you make it full screen?
Full screen?
Yeah.
Just a minute, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Hikmet Ibrahim Abed. My presentation title, Proposing an Efficient CNN model for Detection of Lymphoblastic Leukemia using transfer learning. I'm a master's student. Abstract. Leukemia is classified by the type of white blood cells affected and by how quickly the disease progresses. Lymphoblastic leukemia, also known as lymphoid or lymphoblastic leukemia, develops in the white blood cells called lymphocyte in the bone marrow. Leukemia is a type of cancer that starts in the bone marrows. Hematopoietic stem cells plus cells are abnormal, immature cells that keep multiplying and filling of the spleen, lymph node, and other tissues. People over the type of 55 are more likely to age acute lymphoblastic leukemia. But younger adults can also get it. Adult leukemia is most frequent. Traditional methods of diagnosis and categorizing lymphoid leukemia take a long time and makes errors with results and rare and are costly and lack the required expertise. Therefore, our objectives are first, by training network on blood illness images, leukemia may be diagnosed and classified smartly. Second, machine learning and deep learning may help to find the leukemia. Our system suggested 3 convolutional neural network models, simple CNN, dense-net 169, and VGG19 models. Transfer learning the models to utilize ALLIDP dataset, which include 2083 images, reveal 1034 healthy normal, called normal cell, and 1049 infected cells called blast cell. The third model is easy to put together, has few parts, and makes accurate prediction. Dense net 169 delivers layer-to-layer feature map. Each layer receives data from above. The data layer below receives it. Each layer gather feature mapping from below. Therefore, the network is tiny. Use 169 layer dense net. First, trained dense net feature are used. Transfer training learning load. Transfer learning helps to reuse pattern, feature, and weights. Conventional layer process each image portion feature map. It's employ teachable 3x3 feature extractors. Each neural network's convolution layer stack uses ReLO activation and max polling, maximum convolutional sub-region. Convolutional 1 to convolutional 5 are classification layers. Neuron in a thick layer get data from above. Network convolutional layer are non-repeating layer learning from each other. The proposed model is made up of 5 layers in the simple CNN models. Convolutional 2D plus ReLO layer and max polling layer. The output needs to be made flat before it can be sent. This layer takes data and turns it into a one-dimensional array. Insufficient data slows medical research. Scale transfer helps transfer learning, reduces data, pre-trained optional. Training removes data layer. Tests and training improve accuracy. Loose formulas are accurate. Cross entropy, squared errors lose, and absolute error loss can compute losses. This is experimental results for the our suggested 3 models on the data IDB. The first experimental result when apply dense net 169 model on the data set, we got accuracy 98.93%, and this is plus represent the accuracy, and this is plus for the training, and this is plus represent the confusion matrix with 10 epoch. Second experimental result when applied the VGG19 on model on the data set, we got accuracy 99.49%, and this is other results here, sensitivity and specificity and AUC, and this is plus to represent the accuracy for training and validation, and this is loose plus to represent the loose training loss, and this is confusion matrix with also 10 epochs. Third experimental results when applied the third suggested model, simple CNN model, to the data set IRL IDP, we got accuracy 99.30% and sensitivity 97.93%, and specificity we got 91.03%, and there you see we got 98%, sorry. And this is the plus to represent the accuracy and loss for this result, and this is confusion matrix with 10 epochs. Conclusion. We use the ILL-IDB dataset to train three neural network model to diagnose acute lymphoblastic leukemia with the help of transfer learning when compared of other models with research with other research previous papers that used a similar method to diagnose the same condition. The VGG, as we see here, the VGG 19 models is the most accurate. Thanks for your listening. Can you hear me, Doctor?
Thank you for the presentation. Please share your email ID in the chat box.
Yes.
And if any participants would love to ask questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, now next I would like to call Vijay Gaikwad. Do we have Vijay Gaikwad, IFFT based smart home security system?
Yes, so I'll be sharing the screen.
Okay.
So can we start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon. I am Shubham Shah, currently pursuing my BTech from the Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Pune, and my co-authors are Shreyansh Srivastav, Shruti Singh, Akash Sena, Vishal Sirvi, and Arjun Thakur. As the Internet of Things has advanced in popularity in the recent years, home security proceeds to become an integral part of our daily households. For it, we present a paper titled IFEARP based Smart Home Security System. Next slide. The agenda of the presentation, where we'll be going to the introduction, the problem statement, and then we'll be discussing the system designs, the applications, results, and the conclusion follows by the future scope. Next slide. Multiple systems pre-exist in the market and are employed in various places. So what makes our proposed system different? So let's find the answer here. Due to the relative pricing of the controllers used, it is quite expensive to set up a home security available in the market because they are monitored by the security service businesses, which are also subjected to monthly payments for maintenance. The installation cost of this system also increases, which makes the system unaffordable to most of the people. Cost cutting has been employed, but it involves systems solely designed and dedicated to specific tasks. Thus, we aim at overcoming the limitations of various existing security systems to propose a comprehensive solution that detects both fire, gas, besides intruders. The IFEERP webhook service is used to create a trigger when the system identifies a threat and sends an email to the user, which highlights a unique functionality of our system.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. So I am Akash Sinha. So I would like to now explain about the problem statement and methodology of our system. So the problem system of our system was to keep an eye and continuously monitor the situation at home so that the user's home is secured at all times, irrespective of whether the user is at home or off. So basically, if I am the user, so it may happen sometimes that I am not at home and that is nobody is at home, and I am going to my college or office, and I want someone to take care of my home. So for this, our system can be used. Next slide, please. So basically, we have created this system. So we have used Node MCU as a microcontroller. Also, we have used some sensors like ultrasonic sensor, LM35 temperature sensor, MQ5 LPG sensor, etc. for sensing different things. And supplementary components like buzzer, LEDs, etc. have been integrated. Also, we have used, as you might have seen in the title itself, IFEERP. That is, if this then that webhook service. It is used to send an alert, that is a mail, to the user by generating a trigger event. So basically, the ultrasonic sensor here has been used to detect an intruder entry. Suppose at the door someone is entering and he or she is not a known person. That person doesn't know the password. So he has to first of all enter the password. So if the password is incorrect, then and the user is within the 50 centimeters distance from the door, so the buzzer will start ringing and the user will get a mail. So for this, we have used ultrasonic sensor to detect the distance. Similarly, we have used LM35 temperature sensor to detect if the temperature exceeds provided threshold. The threshold will be explained in further slides. So if there is a fire alert for this type of situation, LM35 temperature sensor can be used. The third thing which we have implemented is the LPG leakage. For that, we have used MQ5 sensor. So with the help of this, we can sense whether there is a leakage to gases like H2, LPG, CH4, CO. So if there is a leakage, LPG leakage at our home, So this sensor will sense it and we can get the emails and all.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shreyan Srivastav. Now moving to the system design. So first and foremost, the user will get an option to activate or deactivate the home security system to turn it on or off. The first line of security is the main door of the house, where the person has to enter the correct password to enter inside. If the password so entered is correct, the door will get opened automatically, person being in a range of 50 centimeter from door. The distance here is calculated using the ultrasonic sensor, and the door is opened using the servo motors. However, if a person has entered a wrong password, or if he didn't enter any password and still he is within the range of 50 centimeter from the door will not get opened and the buzzer will start ringing. In addition to that, a warning mail will be sent to the concerning owner. Then we have an LM35 temperature sensor. If the temperature sensed by it is less than 20 degrees Celsius, the fans will be turned off. And if the temperature rises and reaches the range of 20 to 50 degrees Celsius, the fans will be turned on using the relays. However, if a temperature is very high, say greater than 50 degrees Celsius, it is some emergency condition, maybe a fire outbreak, and hence the door will be opened, sprinklers will be on, and the fires will be turned on or turned off to avoid the spreading of fire. Also, to warn the user, the buzzer will start ringing and the corresponding mail will be sent. Then we have a MQ5 gas sensor to sense the LPG leakage. If it senses any LPG leakage, the doors and windows will get opened and fans will be turned on. Alarming signal will also be sent through email. Finally, we have a PIR sensor fitted in the safe room. If it detects any movement in the door will get closed and the alarming signal will with the help of LEDs and buzzer will be given to the user along with the corresponding email. Moving on to the system architecture. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the system project architecture. We have designed we have modeled it on the Tinkercad platform before implementing its hardware prototype. So we have used here the Arduino Uno, and for the final hardware implementation, we have used ESP8266 node MCU in order to send the email. Moving on to the applications. Next slide, please. So the proposed project can be used as an home security system, which was the main aim of the project. It can also be used as a security system for various important buildings like banks and schools. It can also be used as an alerting system for the fire outbreak or LPG leakage. And it can be used in various buildings for the safety measures as well as building automations.
So now moving on to the results shown by our project. So firstly, in the case of intrusion detection, if the password is correct and the person is standing in the range of 50 centimeters from the door opens automatically. Otherwise, if any attempt of forced entry is there, alarm is generated, as well as the user gets an email that an unauthorized person is at their doorstep. Second functionality is regarding the temperature. So if the temperature detected by the LM35 temperature sensor is less than 20 degrees Celsius, then the fans remain off, depicting a cool climate in the house. If the temperature is between 20 to 50 degrees Celsius, then the fans will turn on, depicting the temperature is a bit on a higher side and it's hot. If the temperature crosses the threshold range of 50 degrees Celsius, which depicts a fire outbreak condition, an alarm will be sent and all the fans will be turned off so as to avoid spreading the fire. The doors will be open for evacuation and a warning email will also be sent to the user regarding the fire. The third functionality is regarding LPG detection, which is done using a MQ5 sensor. So if a leaked gas is detected, the fans will be turned on so as to disperse the gas, and the gates will be opened, as well as again a mail will be sent to the user regarding the event. This is now a short demonstration of our project. It's a video demonstration, so I'll just play it.
Now we will get to the working.
Is it audible?
Yes, yes, it is audible.
Okay.
And we can see that when the trespassing or when the ultrasonic sensor is activated, we receive a mail. So the trespass is detected and we can see the buzzer ringing and the door open, and we can see that a mail is received. So this is the mail, like the buzzer was ringing, so it was like the with the help of ultrasonic sensor we got that the person is under the range of 50 centimeter. So we got the mail that unknown person detected. That is that the person is not an authenticated person and someone has is near to our door. So we get the mail with the help of ARSSS webhooks. And now the next we can see is for the temperature and gas sensor. So right now we check for the gas. So in case of a detection, we get another notification. And once the buzzer has done, we can see that the notification will be sent. So with the help of that gas sensor, we can get a gas leakage notification. So as we use the lighter currently to detect the LPG. So once we detect it, so we can get the user will get the mail regarding gas leakage. That there is some gas leakage in our room. Corresponding will be sent to the temperature sensor. So similarly, we are having temperature sensor also. So for the temperature sensor, we are getting a mail for fire alert. Like the range is currently, if the range is less than 20, so it indicates that there is a cold weather, so fan will be turned on. For that, we are not sending any mail. If 20 to 50 also, then we can say that there is a little heat, so the fan will be turned on, but no mails. But if the temperature is above 50, that indicates that there might be a fire situation in the house. So for that, we are sending a mail that is fire alert. So we get a mail of fire alert once the temperature is above 50. So that's all from our project. Thank you. Thank you. So now we will get to the working of.
So now to conclude, we have used a Node MCU ESP8266 Wi-Fi development board along with a variety of low-cost sensors to make a customizable home control and monitoring system. The main highlight of our project is the IFEARP webhook service that allows the creation of an alert system, we can say, regarding events that are happening in the house.
Right, and also there are many more advancements that we can do to this current model, so as to improve the internal security of the model even more. So currently the model is working on the internet connected supportivity, where in which the user will be able to get the email only if he is connected to the internet. So we can try to add the SMS service as well using the SIM900 GSM module that will allow the user to receive the notification about the events even if he is not connected to the internet. And also, in the event that a fire is detected in the house, a sprinkler system can be integrated into the system to extinguish the fire more rapidly. And also, in addition to the keypad and the ultrasonic sensor that we have used in this model, we can try and incorporate camera sensors as well, so as to recognize the intruder during a trespassing incident to provide more security and protection through this particular model.
We have referred many papers and we have listed some of those papers here. So these are our references. That's all from our side. Thank you.
Thank you, and very good presentation by your team. And yeah, so nice to see the working model and the implementation. As a graduate people, you guys have done a good job. Like, what is the next step of your project? What is that you guys are doing as future scope? I mean, is it you guys are restricting the work over here, or will it be carried out? How is it going ahead?
No, sir, we are working on it currently, and as discussed on the future scope, we are working on the SMS module and the sprinkler system. So in case of fire alerts, we won't be just sending the buzzer alert, but we'll be using the sprinkler to reduce the fire impact.
Okay. Sounds good. Great efforts and good project. Thank you for your presentation. So, well, I would now will go to the next presenter. If any participants would like to ask any questions, I request you to share your email address, and people can mail to any of the participants. So that's the thing. We'll go ahead with the next presenter. Do we have M.A. Peter, effects of stone dust on lime stabilized granular soil?
Yes, sir.
Please share your presentation. We'll go ahead with it. Please share your presentation.
So, we have to share?
We are not able to see the screen. Can you reshare it again?
Share screen, then it files. So I don't know where to share.
Okay, let's go to the next presenter. I will help you out a little later. I now call upon Sudha Singh. Do we have Sudha Singh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please share your presentation.
Okay, sir. My name is Sudha Singh. I am my research topic is outlier detection. My review paper, which is based on wireless sensor network. As we know that wireless sensor network has numerous applications in virtually all fields of science and engineering, including healthcare, industry, military, and many more. So some noise, malicious attack creates outliers. That detection is necessary. So the outline of presentation is introduction, literature review, related work, conclusion, and references. Now the introduction, now we start with introduction. Wireless sensor network consists of hundreds and thousands of teeny low-cost sensor nodes integrated with sensing, computational power, and short-range wireless communication capabilities, and have a strong resource constraint in terms of energy, memory, computational capacity, and communication bandwidth. Many wireless sensor network has been deployed in the real world to collect a large amount of raw sense data. Then they sense raw data. So that the key challenges is to extract high level knowledge from such raw data. The large scale and high density region of the WSN implies that the network usually has to operate in a harsh and unattended environment, so that there are various fault and malicious attacks create an outlier. In the application of sensor network, outlier, or also called an anomaly detection, has been paid and more attention. Outlier detection can be used to filter noisy data, find fault nodes, and discover interesting events. Outlier detection, also known as deviation detection or data cleansing, is a necessary and pre-processing state in any data analysis application. Outlier detection in WSN is the process of identifying those data instances that deviate from the rest of data pattern. There are many outlier source, that is noise, malicious attack, and event. When outliers created by the noise, it is called a fault detection. When the malicious attacks create an outlier, this is called the intrusion detection. When events create an outlier, that is called the event detection. Outlier can also harm the machine hardware, and because of the outlier, we lost the many data. So there are many methods to detect the outlier in WSN technology. Some are artificial intelligence, clustering based, statistical based, distance based, density based, and classification based. But these techniques are to be had, but the accuracy stay and difficulties. Literature review. There are many research papers that is on outlier detection. As the author A. Vasu and A. Gupta, title name is Anomaly in Intrusion Detection in Wireless Sensor Network, create a characterized anomaly discovery procedure in a scientific categorization reasonable for WSN as the accompanying factor, closest, neighbor, bunching, order, and phantom disintegration. Second author present a characterization for the anomaly discovery procedure in WSN, which resembles the one introduced in our, however, they add the man-made reasoning based classification. Fourth author present a scientific classification of AI. AI, that means artificial intelligence strategies for exception identification in IoT, which is used in IoT. Fourth author propose a worldwide grouping audit about the advancements of exception identification procedures. They give the presentation, the access and cons and difficulties which face these procedures. Fifth author proposed a technique for the anomaly discovery in IoT through the deliberate examination of informational collection in view of 5 phases. There are many phases for outlier detection. In my related work, I am reviewing many papers and write down some conclusion. Exception recognition is an extremely significant examination point and has been applied in numerous application fields. There are many regulated, semi-directed and solo strategies have been utilized for exception recognition. These are arrangement-based technique, bunching-based strategy, distance-based strategy, thickness-based strategy, and measurement-based strategies. In arrangement-based strategy, become familiar with the grouping model are also classifier utilizing a bunch of information object during the preparation stage and afterward order the information object to the one of instructional course during the testing stage. These strategies can be either regulated or solo type. Bunching-based strategies are used to find object bunches which are formerly related while the anomaly, that is called outlier location, is utilized to find protests that are not unequivocally connected with a different article. There are grouping can be utilized to identify outlier. There are many bunching calculations can be utilized to track down the anomalies in the dataset. For example, K implies DV scan, screen, and bridge. Distance-based strategies. Distance-based strategies are with the essential thought of some assuming an information object is far away from the majority of items. It likely be an anomaly. The distance-based strategies are more broadly utilized than the measurement-based strategies, as they are more straightforward to the decide or a plan significant distance proportional of a dataset than to the decided the factual dispersion model. Distance-based strategies can't be used in a multi-thickness data set. Thickness-based strategies are firmly connected with the distance-based exception location technique. Since thickness is normally characterized by the distance, particularly Euclidean distance, the anomaly identification strategies in a view of relative thickness can process multi-thickness data set really. Some other technique are measurement-based strategies. Measurement-based strategies are additionally called model-based technique, which might utilize existing model or construct a model for assessing the degree that the information object fit for the model. In a measurement-based technique, we use the Gaussian appropriation and multivariate Gaussian conveyance. These are the table. Here we see the techniques and various type of techniques and the outlier some modes. These are online or offline, and some state, global or local. So here we see if you use clustering technique, then the outlier is multivariate and mode is offline and is global. Reference, these are various references where we comparing and making this table. Now, the conclusion in this paper, we address the issue of exception recognition in WSN and give a procedure-based scientific categorization system to order current anomaly location strategy instead for WSN. So here we comparing various type of outlier detection technique. These are various references. Thank you.
Yeah, please share your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you for your presentation, ma'am. There was some technical glitch, so we couldn't able to see few slides. Okay. Well, not an issue. We'll go ahead with the next presenter. Do we have Nitin Bhatnagar? Nitin Bhatnagar.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, please share your screen, sir.
Okay, okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My topic, as you can see on the slide, is a little bit different from what we have been hearing in this conference. Okay, but I would try my level best to make it relatable to all the audiences, maybe national or international. That would be my effort. Now, before I start my presentation, I would like to give a very brief background of this presentation. A couple of days back, I was at Rishikesh, where I met a young person of 22 years of age who had left the world and has adopted renunciation. When I asked him why, he said that he was fed up with the world. There were certain traumatic experiences in his family and in his profession, and now that's why he has left the world. I was perturbed that how can such young people do like this? A couple of months back, I had read a book. The title is book is River Sutra, written by Geeta Mehta, a contemporary writer. Okay, so I thought that why not approach this problem through this book, because this book gives the same message. Okay. So when I explored this book, and then I consulted some of the Upanishads also, I found that this concept of renunciation has been in India, has been followed in India since times immemorial. Okay. And because if we go through Hindu scriptures, that Hindu life is divided into 4 ashramas. One is the Brahmacharya ashrama, Grahastha ashrama, then you have the Vanaprastha ashrama, and then one sannyas ashrama. Okay, so if you are following this kind of stages in life, and then finally if you go to the sannyas ashrama, if you are spiritually oriented, okay, it's well and good, but leaving your responsibilities, leaving your duties, you at a young age, when you need to do your karma for what you have come to this world, then you leave this world and go for renunciation. That I could not digest. So I read this book, as I was saying. Now this book, let me give a brief introduction of this book, A River Sutra. This book is basically about the Hindu god, Indian deity Shiva, right? And his relationship with the river Narmada, one of the most holiest rivers of India. Now, this book actually is a series of tales, series of small stories narrated by some tribals, some researchers, musicians, ascetics, pilgrims, and monks, etc. Right? And through these stories, they have tried to give a message. Okay, so I tried to explore this message through this book. So this book is just not a series of tales. If you explore it deeper, you will find that there's an indirect mention of how a common human being, and not necessarily a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim or anybody else, would ideally lead his or her life. Sorry. Okay. Now, when we talk about Lord Shiva, then on one side we know that he's a god, a Hindu god. But on the other side, if we go through the Puranas, we will find that he is the most humanistic god of the Hindu pantheon of deities. Right? He leads a mundane life. He has a family. He follows certain societal norms. Okay. One example is that when we talk about the societal norms, then we find in the mythology that he has gone through a process of wedding, process of marriage, which he has performed with Parvati. And while performing this social norm of marriage, he has done certain things, like he's taking a procession of the bridegroom's procession is going to Parvati's house. So what I'm trying to say is that he is the most humanistic god. There are so many things, because there are so many examples from mythology which says that he is not only a bridegroom, he is a lover also. He has human traits of compassion and fury. And then he conveys the message that if you have desire, then it is the desire that continues this world. Okay. So and if we go through mythology, then we read that he lives with a complete family on the Mount Kailasha. And at the same time, we find that in Hindu homes, his whole family has been worshipped as a Shiva Parivar. I have taken certain references from the spiritual guru, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, he himself says about Shiva that he is simply life itself. So Shiva represents the mundane life of any human being. So this is one side of Shiva. But we have the other side of Shiva also, that being a god, he is a side of his spirituality. And when we talk about his spirituality, then he is one of the gods of the Hindu trinity, that is Brahma, Vishnu, and he is the Shiva. Right? Talking about his spirituality, then we talk about that. What are his responsibilities? He is responsible for the annihilation or the destroying of this universe. So this is something that was surprising in many people when we talk about when I discuss this thing with the people of other faiths. They could not digest it. They say that normally the gods are worshipped for their blessings, for the protection. But why this god is being worshipped as an annihilator? Right. So the thing is that he is considered to be the god of, on one side is considered to be the god of death also. Because if we see the personality of Shiva, a picture of Shiva, we find that his complete body is smeared in ash. He has a matted hair, dressed in animal skin. He leads a life of a mendicant, of a sage. Right? Okay. And he is considered to be as an Adi Yogi, the first yogi of this world. Right? So on the other side, he represents spirituality. Right? And the ascetics, the people who are doing penance. We find so many people who are doing penance as sages, and in the Himalayas and other places. We find they consider themselves as the extension of Shiva. So now we find that on one side Shiva represents spirituality, but the other side he represents the worldliness also. So the thing is that this when we come to this book, a River Sutra, which is my primary source of this research, we find this kind of a paradox is very much represented in the book River Sutra also. And for this, I would like to share in short about a character from the book. There is a character named Professor Shankar. Okay. Now this Shankara initially in the book is represented as a yogi. He is a yogi, he is a mendicant. he has renounced the world and he is adopted sannyasa, and he is being seen as doing lot of penance on the banks of the river Narmada. Okay, the narrator of the story. Let me come to the narrator of the story. The narrator of the story has himself left the world and come to the banks of the Narmada in order to achieve spirituality. Right. So he is watching Professor Shankara in the form of a sage right from the beginning. Suddenly, Professor Shankara disappears one day. The ascetic, the sage, disappears one day and reappears later in the last chapter as Professor Shankara. So now we find the ascetic has changed into Professor Shankara. Okay, so this man, the narrator, is shocked because he used to consider this ascetic as his ideal. And when he finds that the ascetic has returned back to the world, he is shocked. He asked him so many questions. He asked him that what was the use of such penance? Why did you perform such penance when you wanted to come back to this world? Okay. So he said, then the answer that Professor Shankara gives is what is written on the slide. He says, I am only a man. The soul must travel through 84,000 births in order to become a man. Only then can it re-enter the world. So in this line, Professor Shankara defends himself by saying, or gives the reason that why he has returned back to the world. In the book itself, he says, I am just a man. Okay. A man cannot become a god. Man can attain spirituality, but man cannot become a god. He has to remain in touch with the world. Okay. So this ascetic, as you can see in my last point, this ascetic, alias Professor Shankara, he actually is the representative. He is actually a symbol representing the fusion of divinity and temporality. This complete book alludes to Lord Shiva. And Shiva, Professor Shankara, he is a human extension of the divine Shiva as it is given in the book. And he represents the fusion of divinity and temporality. So the journey of Professor Shankara is actually an exemplification of a balanced approach to life. That is a unification of worldliness and spirituality. That's what, see, we have come to this world. We have got the body of your human being, not just to waste it like this. We have come to do the karma. Let us first finish our karma, whatever we are doing. And then if we want, we can go later into the spirit. So the two things can be carried out together. Because what happens in life, that if you are too worldly, this may corrupt your soul. But if you are too spiritual, okay, you forget worldliness and become totally spiritual, then you forget your karma. So both the extremes may not be beneficial for a common human being. Okay, so finally, Professor Shankara explains to the narrator by this line, don't you realize you were brought here to gain the world, not forsake it? That is, you have come to the Narmada, not to leave the world, but to understand the world. And then he says, you know, karma is moksha. Moksha is not karma. Okay. So this what I have concluded from my exploring this book. Okay. These are my references. I have gone through certain references. And my methodology, this is this is a qualitative analysis of the book River Sutra, in which my secondary source is the book, the River Sutra, and there are certain interviews of the author. Then I have consulted certain Puranas, especially the Shiv Purana. I have consulted certain epics like Mahabharata, because Vedvyas wrote Mahabharata Vedvyas dictated Mahabharata on the banks of the river Narmada. I have consulted Kalidasa Abhigyanam Shakuntalam, because the reference of Narmada is also there in Kalidasa. I have said certain critics like Ions Veronica. Ions Veronica has written a lot on Indian spirituality and Indian mythology. I have read. My another source of my thing is Sadhguru. Sadhguru has talked about Adi Yogi, and that has been quite great help for me. Then finally, I have consulted Devdutt Patnaik, a well-known author from Odisha. Okay, and he has written so many articles on mythology, on Shiva. So that has been my references. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nitin, for this wonderful presentation and a nice new topic which you have touched upon. So good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.